Hi guys, so today I'm going to list off the urban fantasy series that I binged. And when I say binged, I mean I've read every one available back to back to back. I don't binge like books 1 through 3 and stop. No, when I find an urban fantasy series that I like, I binge the entire thing. So, let's get started. Firstly, there is the Night Huntress series by... Go say Anita Blake. Crap, Lord Jesus. The Night Huntress series by Janine Frost. This one, our main character, Kat Caulfield, is a half human, half vampire hunter. The hijinks that she gets up to is, in the first book, it's kind of insane. Like, she really just existed on pure, straight up luck. Then she runs across Bones, who is pure vampire and very old, very strong vampire, and she tries to take him on, and then their storyline gets embroiled from there. There are 8, 9, 10, I don't know, there are a crap ton of these. I love this series. I love Kat, but I love Bones even more. Bones is kind of like Spike from Buffy. Like, even down to, like, he's British and he's got, like, the bleach blonde hair at first, just... But you didn't, like, past that, I really didn't make the comparison. So it's not like a parody or that it just keeps, like, Spike, just all in your head all the time. It's not. But I really like these. I binged them. I binged the whole thing, and then I think I got Courtney to binge, like, most of them from Curious Courtney. And I'll link her channel down below. I really like it. I'm going to try not to say that repeatedly, because I notice I do that. Then also by Janine Frost, which I binged, was the Night Prince series, which is a spin-off of that. And this one features Vlad as the main character, who is the secondary character in the Night Hunter series. Vlad, aka Vlad Tepes, aka Dracula. Yeah, this is his story, his romance story. And there are four of the books. And I binged the first 3 because at the time I started them, book 4 wasn't out yet. And I actually think I still need to read book 4. But holy crap, these are so fucking good. Then, how many people knew this was coming? The Mercy Thompson series by Patricia Briggs. This was actually recommended to me by another nurse that I worked with when I lived in Texas. She kept saying, read them, because I had books at work all the time, and then when I finally read them, I was like, fuck, I should have listened to you like 7 months ago, these are awesome. So this is about Mercy Thompson, who is a Native American coyote walker, who's basically living amongst a bunch of werewolves, and she has to deal with, like, pack politics, and the struggle of being the only, like, coyote amongst all the werewolves, and being an outsider, and it's not the same kind of a monster, so to speak, like, werewolves take a lot of time to shift, and shifters and whatnot. She is a walker, which is another beast entirely, and she can, like, switch back and forth immediately. There are 10 books at present. The romance in this, there's one overarching romance over the entire time. There's, like, a little love triangle in the beginning. I think they get their shit together in book 3 or 4, and then it just goes on with them as a couple from there, and I just they're just really enjoyable. I really like the amount of Native American culture and other cultures that she puts in this series. So, if you like urban fantasy, you need diverse cast of characters with a diverse heroine. Mercy. And I don't know why the covers always have her, like, half naked, because Mercy is, like, describes herself as being, like, plain looking. She also says she's basically, like, she looks like a Caucasian woman with a Native American coloring, and she's a mechanic, so she wears coveralls and jeans and t-shirts all the time. She doesn't really dress up, and so I don't know what this comes from, but don't pay the covers no mind. Her character is not like that, but Mercy is awesome. She's very kick-ass, she's very smart, she's very sarcastic, and since she lives outside of the pack politics, she really just, everybody will get into their alpha male bullshit, and she's just like, okay, when you're done, and she'll do things like torment her neighbor by, like, cause she lives in a trailer next to his mansion, and when he pisses her off, she has this project car, this old Volkswagen that she works on. When he pisses her off, she parks it. It's parked right behind his bedroom window, and every time he pisses her off, she, like, puts lights on it or writes his phone number, and it says, for a good time, call such and such, and, like, lipstick on the side of the car, puts flashing lights on it, or takes a door off of it, or takes, like, a tire off of it so it's all slanted just to make it even uglier, and just, like, it drives him crazy. But it's, like, little passive-aggressive things that she does to show him, like, your alpha maleness can go fall off a cliff because it gives no fucks. Then, also by Patricia Briggs, is a spin-off series of that, which is... Oh! I'm dropping shit. Which is the Alpha and Omega series, also by Patricia Briggs. Now these, there are only 4 of at the time, but instead of like first person Mercy's point of view, this one is told third person point of view, and it surrounds Charles, who is Mercy's like foster brother-ish kind of a situation. It's a complicated situation, you gotta read the book. But he's also Native American, and then his mate, who Anna. And they meet and mate in like the book 0.5, like the very first novella before it gets into the story. So they run out of the gate mated and together, but it's not like insta love. They're trying to work their way around each other and figure one another out and deal with their emotions. And Anna was abused in her last pack, and Charles meets her when he goes to rescue her and figure out what the hell is going on with her pack and why her pack is being abusive and not following the rules. And then he finds out, you know, he just takes her as mate immediately, and then from there on, Anna's coming into her own strength and struggling with not allowing other people to see her as a victim because of what was done to her. And she's also dealing with difficulties of like intimacy and relationships with other people because she was abused. Also, she is an Omega, so it's kind of like Mercy where she's outside of pack politics, but she's still a werewolf. So we do get more of a look at the pack politics and the kind of like carnal aspect and brutality that kind of goes along with like shifters and shifter romances, where like everything is like just very passionate and brutal and just instant like rage or passion or whatever it is that you feel for that person. And, you know, kind of that battle with like who's more dominant and looking other people in the eye and starting fights and blah 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 blah, all the things that I love about shifter romances that really kind of get taken out of the Mercy Thompson series, because Mercy is told from her point of view and she's not a werewolf. This is third person, but the 2 main characters in this one are werewolves, so I get all that stuff back in this book and I really like it. And then there's another one that deals with a lot of like Native American culture and stuff, because her mate is Native American and he's old Native American. So whereas Mercy's only like 20 something or 30 something, Charles is like 100 plus or a couple 100 years old. So we get to see like the older Native American traditions and how his mindset is because of what, you know, their people consider taboo back then. So the things he doesn't like people saying or doing, and like pointing, because back Native American culture was like witches point at people to cast spells or whatever. So he really like, one of the like things that's in here like detail wise is that she gets really pissed off. He's already like working on his temper control, and someone points at him or his mate and he's just like, I need you fucking stop right now because I'm about to lose my shit. So like little details like that with like the cultures I really like that Patricia Briggs always adds. So that is a reason to check that out. And if you want to read this one, you don't really get too spoiled. Like they coincide with each other, the series and that one, but you really don't get too spoiled. You can kind of read them separately without finding out too much of what's going on. So I really like that she did that as well too, because I read that entire series and then read this one, and then certain events that were glazed over in this one were explained in this one, and certain events that are explained like glazed over in this one were explained in that one, but not in a way that spoils you for either series. So if you read that one, you're like, oh, that's what that thing was, and vice versa. Then, of course, there is the Kate Daniels series by Alona Andrews. Now, this one I've also talked about. This one takes place in, like, a dystopian, post-apocalyptic, was not an apocalypse, but it takes place in a dystopian Atlanta. And in Atlanta, well, in the world, period, basically, a thing happened, and magic comes and goes in waves. So magic is up, you can't use electricity. When electricity is up, you can't use magic. So all these kind of, like, creative ways that people get around using, like, guns or spells at certain times and having to travel on donkeys or horses versus like magically powered cars or gas powered cars, water powered engines, etc., that kind of a thing. And she includes in this series so much detail, so much like culture detail for like different things. It's crazy. Like she includes like a lot of history and stuff too, and rewrites things and makes them very unique. So like the way she did vampires in this was not traditional vampires, and it was so cool to me when I read the first book and found out like the thing with vampires. And then the romance in this story is really cool too. It's another one that really doesn't have plot, love triangles, anything. It's the same couple over the course of all of the books, and you get to see like their progress and their fights with each other and their struggles and their fight to protect each other, and like other people trying to like fuck their stuff up and etc. And what else? Like I said, she kind of rewrites historical things and cultural things and puts them in here. So there's like a thing with like tower builders that is in the Bible that she took that and put it in here, and there's a character who likes to build towers, and he's explained, and like there is a thing that was in the Bible, and they're like, oh yeah, that was vampires, and etc. Stuff like that, without really stepping on toes as far as religion goes. I like when authors take like real things that happened and like tie a fantasy aspect to it. And the world building in this series, her world building puts some like high fantasy / epic fantasy writers to shame. Okay, to shame. I'm trying not to say too much on that because I talk about that book all the time. I'm sorry, y'all. There is also the Hidden Legacy series by Alona Andrews, which is in a different world. It is set in a world where magic, like how people have old money. In this world, you have old magic, and the really old people were like in real life. There's like the Vanderbilts and the whoever. There are like magical versions of these families. So their families form houses, like House Chanel type situations. So you're leveled, basically different levels based on how much magic you have. And if you're a prime level and you have like at least 2 primes in your family is now considered a house. And so there are different things. Houses are kind of outside of the law a little bit. They work a little different because they're their own law amongst themselves. So it's a really cool way to watch how they interact. And then the one thing that Alona Andrews does really well, and I'll say the same thing about her Kate Daniels series. Alona Andrews is 2 of them. It's a husband-wife team. They write really fucking fantastic characters. So you have an awesome world building, and then you have amazing, hilarious characters, and I love them both so much. That is an author that is an auto buy for me forever and life. So then next there is the Charlie Davidson series, which is like first grave on the right, second grave, blah blah blah, fourth grave beneath my feet, fifth grave, etc. I binged all of these up until I think they were on book 9. When I started reading them, I binged all of them in like 2 or 3 days. There are 10 or 11 now. I haven't read those yet. But in this one, Charlie Davidson, the main character, is a private investigator who later finds out the reason that she can actually fucking see dead people is because she's the damn Grim Reaper. And that comes with its own set of like fuckery and foolishness, if you couldn't imagine. And then there is also this person that she keeps seeing, and she thinks like she's being haunted or it's a specter, and it's actually someone she used to be in a relationship with, and now he's kind of haunting her. Come to find out, bro is the son of Satan. Yeah. So this is another one where they're with the same person. This is one relationship that goes through like it's different things. They were like broken up. I think they had already been together and were broken up in the first book, and then they kind of go on again, off again for like a book and a half, 2 books, and then she finds out what their relationship really is, what their deal is, and then there's like an overarching plot thing with them because of who he is, and then she has her little separate like mystery solving and things because of her job that is also compounded by trying to help people pass on because she can see them. And then once you acknowledge a ghost on accident and they know you can see them, which is rare, so they now just hound her. Find out who killed me, find out, go tell my mom I love her, do this for me, help my family do this, like just help me basically finish my business so I can pass on, except for the like occasional like 2 that just hang around her all the time. And then later you even find out like what they really were, and they were there for a reason in the beginning. So it's really kind of cool because you learn as she learns. It's not like you're jumping into a story and you have to like be told, what's it called? I forget, but you have to kind of be told what all is going on. And this one you learn as they learn. So it's not like a bunch of just dry repetition, like, okay, let me take a minute real quick and tell you the history of the thing. It's not really there. So built into the story is where you kind of learn it. And that's a cool way to do it, as opposed to just being like spelled out and you gotta sit through all this repetition and world building and shit. You don't really have to deal with that. It's a really good series. I like it. It's more so, it's less serious than the Kate Daniels and Mercy Thompson series are. This one is more like quirky, funny. Kind of like those paranormal romance as opposed to urban fantasy, whereas in paranormal romance is like the Carolyn Sparks books are like a little Harlequinish and they're meant to be funny. These aren't quite Harlequin, but they're still like they're more humorous than the other series that I've mentioned so far. Zinza is the Immortal After Dark series, which I've mentioned a lot, and this is by Kresley Cole. This one in particular is Dark Sky. Now Kresley Cole, in her world, she has built in a bunch of paranormal creatures, a bunch of supernatural creatures. There are Valkyrie and Lyke, there are demons, vampires. There are mixes between all of them. There are succubi and sorcery, and there are mages and witches and warlocks. They're just all different kinds, and then they have the ability to interbreed. So there are like halflings that come with their own set of things. So what I really like about this one too is that it's kind of like formulaic in that most of the fated couples, because whichever culture, most of them, except for like the human based one like witches, they all have like fated mates. They're called different things. Like for vampires it's brides, and like it's mates, and blah 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 blah. One of the characters usually has this, and they're kind of caught up with one that doesn't have one. So it ends up being a chase and trying to convince them that no, we really are mates and I need you. This is like legit shit. Where are you going? So, and them trying to convince them, like, yeah, this is the actual thing. You stuck with me. They do actually fall in love, but there's usually hijinks. There's usually kind of violent hijinks. So, like, there's one in particular where I think there's a Valkyrie and a demon, or a Valkyrie and a werewolf, and she does things like purposely breaks his legs and runs so he can't catch up to her, and etc. And then it takes him a day to heal, and then he has to figure out where she went. That kind of a thing. But in addition to that, there's like an overarching plot, which is the Ascension. Now, the Ascension is like every so many centuries. Basically, it's kind of like almost fated every couple of centuries for these characters to have some kind of a battle, and there are two different sides. I can't remember what they're called at the time. I mean, right now I can't remember what they're called, but the two different sides kind of like it naturally breaks up like that every so many centuries, and a war kind of builds. And the war is for different things every time, but it's kind of like a checks and balances of Darwinism kind of a thing, so that there aren't so many paranormal creatures that they just overrun the humans and etc. is how it's explained. There's this one particular character, Nyx, who is a Valkyrie and also a soothsayer. She's basically damn near omnipotent and omniscient. She's damn near omniscient at this point, and she kind of like is also batshit crazy, so they call her Nucking Futz Nyx. So she does little things to like place you where you'll meet your mate, but instead of placing you in like you'll meet them in like a Walmart or somewhere, she'll place you in like, oh, I'll place you where you get captured by these people that will take you to this place to get experimented on. And I mean, I know it sucks, but hey, your mate was in there though, right? Even though you got vivisected, like your boo was there, so it's all good. And they're mad at her, but I mean, the reason she did it though is because she also needs them to be in that position to be like tortured, so they can like form their sides, and she gets to like maneuver people to her side for this battle that's coming. So I really like it. It's a good series. Check it out. Then there is the Others series by Anne Bishop. This one takes place in a world that's really cool. Like, I really like the prologue. The prologue is sort of from like Gaia or the world's point of view, and the others were there first, and then the people came. So basically, in this one, like the others are like the Native Americans, and then the humans are like the other people who just came along and tried to take over shit. But in this case, the others are like vampires and werewolves and etc. And they were like, well, nah. So they live in these like separate little areas, but not because the humans put them in these separate little areas and tried to like put them in these little colonies and keep them out of their sight and out of trouble in like these little camp type things. Sit still. In this one, the others have kind of drawn the line in the sand and marked their territory, and they gave the humans little plots of land to live on, and they said, you fuck up, we will eat you. So that's the world building part of it. The main character, Meg, is a Cassandra Sang, so she's basically a blood prophet. When her skin gets cut, she sees like prophecies, or she sees the future, dreams, and it can manifest in different ways. Basically, the thing to get out of this is her skin gets cut and she sees the future. So she's kind of lives set apart in this home for girls. This is what they try to make it sound like, but really they're using all these girls and they're cutting them daily and letting people pay to cut them to get prophecies. So Meg escapes and she gets into a part of the others' territory, and they let her stay because they're trying to be less scary to humans and try to integrate a little bit, even though they really don't want to. So she's one of the first human employees that they take on. They have like a couple, but she's one of the ones that they give like full access to. So they're trying to keep things secret from her, she's trying to keep things secret from them. They find out what she is, but because of where she grew up, she's also very childlike, and so that accounts for her not knowing a lot of things. But they also, in the way they do it, it doesn't make her look stupid, because she's also very smart in the way that she figures out some things. And the things that she does know, for like the people like me who nitpick and go, well, how would she know that if she lived in this compound? They have explanations for it all. Like, she did training and they showed her pictures of things. so that when she had a vision of something, she would know what it was, so she could explain it to the person who paid for the prophecy, like airplanes in different places and etc. Like if she never saw the Eiffel Tower, she wouldn't know how to explain to him what the hell it is. That kind of a thing. So it's a really unique take on like the whole paranormal versus human type thing. Usually the humans have put the paranormal people in like this little compound area and like toe the line, or we'll put collars on you, etc. And this one, the others are like, you can have this space out of the goodness of my heart. You can have this land. You gotta farm it. You can't touch this, 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 and this. You can't come over here and you can't break these rules. And if you come over into our territory, we will fucking eat you. And it's happened. And they give no shits. So I really like it. I binged like the first 3. There are 5. I need to read the other 5 because a spin-off series is coming out in March. Lastly, there is the Dark Hunter series by Sherilyn Kenyon, of which there are like 900 of these some bitches. Now, the first ones, I think I binged like 20 of these. No, that's a lie. Like 15 of these. And then I caught up, and then they came out like 2 a year, and then I was watching them, and then they got to like 22, and I just stopped because the series broke up so much. So this is one of those series that it's like books 1 through 30. Book 30 overall, but book 5 of series C, book 12 of series B, and it's like, okay, that's a lot. So the Dark Hunters are kind of vampire hunters, so to speak, but they also have the supernatural features that the vampires do. They're not actual vampires, they don't suck blood. What they are daemons who are born from the Acolytes, as in descended from Apollo. They're basically, the Acolytes are cursed to die on their 27th birthday because reasons. You have to, I cannot, like literally, it's so intensive, like you have to read it. I will be here explaining for like 20 minutes. But the Acolytes basically are cursed to die at 27 for a thing that Apollo caused because Apollo was pissy about some shit that happened. So all the descendants were cursed to die at 27 or 23, 20 something, whatever. They can either die, and basically which they age rapidly and start to like slough off and deteriorate and it's really painful, or they have found a way to basically take other human souls into themselves. But when they do that, the person's soul dies instead of going to whatever like pantheon it's supposed to go to, like heaven or like Buddhist heaven or other religion heaven or hell or wherever. Instead of going to those places where it's supposed to go, the soul dies inside of the daemon, and the daemon is constantly having to attack people to get it. So there's this other pantheon. The Atlantean is an Atlantis pantheon. Is it Atlantis? I think I made that up. Whatever the hell. That pantheon is basically was responsible for that one and Artemis from the Greek pantheon. Both of them together are responsible for the creator of the Dark Hunters to combat these daemons. So they gave the Dark Hunters the same powers. Dark Hunters are, by origin, people who were betrayed in a way that caused their death. Basically what happens is their soul cried out from the betrayal upon moment of death in such a way that Artemis up in Olympus hears it, comes down and offers you a deal. I will give you immortal life and these powers, and I will let you go back to the mortal realm as you are right now. You have 24 hours to kill the person who betrayed you, or all the people who betrayed you, basically to exact your revenge. Then I'll give you all these powers. You just have to agree to serve me for eternity after as part of my army. Now, they do this, and then Artemis, basically because she's pissy and to keep them from getting too powerful, is kind of her way of checks and balances. They can't all be around each other for more than like half an hour to an hour or a couple of hours before they all start to drain each other's power. They can't go out in daylight or they'll burst in a flame. And there's something else, but like little checks and balances kind of things like that. There are, like, as far as Dark Hunters, there are like ancient Greek, ancient Roman Dark Hunters. There are samurais and Amazons, and just like they can be any age, come from any culture. It doesn't matter if you were Greek or if that was your religion or not. You just know that you basically converted at that time as well. There was no going into the afterlife for your other religions for you. And then if you were killed as a Dark Hunter, you became a very horrible thing, like a shade. It depends on the way you were killed. So yeah, and there are ways to free them. So basically they're individual romances. Each book is one of the Dark Hunters and whoever the hell they get with. It could be a were-hunter, which is like werewolves kind of shifters, but there's a unique way she did that too. So they're like also Greek based. Is like they were either there's two different branches of them, either born human and turn into a animal, or you're born animal, you turn into a human, and they dislike each other for that. One sees the other as like just straight up animals, and one sees the other as stupid humans that just happen to change. And then there are a select few who like started with one base form, and then their base form changed, and they have to hide that because then their families will turn on them, and etc. So there are were hunters, there are dark hunters, there are dream hunters, like Honoroi, I think they're called, who can like walk into your dreams and stuff. And then they're all different pantheons. So there's like a Sumerian, there's Atlantis, there's Greek, there's Roman, there's Celtic, there's just all kind of stuff. So there are a fuck ton of these books. Each one of these books has a lot of stuff going on in them. And then if you start in the middle, you might be confused or you might not, because even though it's one individual romance, it might mention a couple from book 2 in book 17, and then a lot of that couple was also in like book 4 and then book 8, and you're gonna be like, what? So up until like book 15 it's okay, but after that shit starts to get spoilery, because she has this series, and then she has the Chronicles of Nick, which is one of these characters who like, that whole series in and of itself is spoilery. So if you're gonna read the series, don't even look up summaries for Chronicles of Nick. Just don't do it. Just read the series until you get to like book 10 or so, and then you'll know what Chronicles of Nick is all about. And then she just started another series, and it's just very convoluted the way they did this, and it's starting to get kind of annoying. But the books, like the first 15 or so, really good. After that, it's just like, it's a lot of you bitches, and y'all keep coming back, and I have to remember what the hell you did. But I binge them, like I'll binge up to like book 22 every time I start them, and then I get up like, all right, that's whew, I wasted a week. All right, let's do other things. But yeah, that is the last of the ones that I binge read. I think when I started these, it was like 2007, in which there were like 10-ish. So there's a lot now. Like for instance, Dead Men Walking. This is a Dead Man's Cross novel, and it's like pirate-y, and I thought that was a whole new series, and I read it and was confused because I didn't read the last of the Dark Hunter series. So yeah, this is actually part of the Dark Hunter series. This is book 28 of the Dark Hunter series. All of these books listed here are Dark Hunter series, but within them there are Were Hunter miniseries and Dream Hunter miniseries, and there's also like 2 main characters get their own like origin story, 2 of the more ancient characters. And then there's also the League series by Sherilyn Kenyon, which I should have pulled out, but I ain't gonna. So that one is totally unrelated to this one, and it is anywhere near as convoluted. And this one takes place in space. It is the same thing with their each individual character's romances per book, but there is still an overarching plot. And I want to say there are like 10 or so of these. I read these actually. I was lucky enough to start reading these as they come out. So I've caught up on them, and they are so good. Oh my God, they are so good. So they have that sci-fi aspect of it. It's not like sci-fi. It just is like urban fantasy with a sci-fi twist. Like urban fantasy that takes place in space, but it's still not quite sci-fi. So, boy, Lord, in that series there are different cultures and races. They don't do the werewolf and shifter things. They're more like different alien cultures, and everybody has their backstory. And then there's an assassin league, and there's like a rebel league to fight the assassin league, and it's really good. It's like paranormal romance version of Star Wars. Is that a bit much? No, it's kind of accurate. So whereas like there's like the system, whatever, there's just like the league. There's like the League of Assassins, and then whereas there's like the rebels, there's like the rebels. But the rebels in this case are like smugglers and ex-cons and people in hiding from the league because they used to be a part of the league. Because in the league, once you win, only way out is so yeah, really good series. Check that out probably before you check out her Dark Hunter series, because it's a lot easier to read. That is finally it. I think that was 11 series, y'all. I'm sorry, that's a long ass video, but I really wanted to do this. I was super stoked about it. Hopefully I didn't leave anything important out of the explanations. So that is it for that, you guys. I will catch you later. Bye.